Welcome back, folks, for part 2 with Michael and Chris. Today, we're continuing the conversation on the intersection of technology and group benefits. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And if you aren't on any of those platforms, you can listen to us on the web at www.peoplecorporation.com/18minexperts. And if you'd be so kind as to leave us a review, we would certainly appreciate it. Your feedback fuels our journey to deliver you the best content possible. Now grab your headphones and turn up the volume because it's time to talk tech.
I tried something recently, which any advisor could do. I think it's a fun exercise. Put a policy document or a booklet into ChatGPT and ask it to convert it to plain language or everyday language. It is really interesting. And I think that's one thing our industry has been stuck on for decades is terms and acronyms and, descriptions that nobody really understands unless they live and work in our industry. So that's something fun. And certainly somebody could try that even just listening to this podcast,
It's a great idea, especially when you're dealing with plan members all the time. These are folks that don't necessarily speak the language. So if you're able to take that sort of complex information and break it down into easily digestible information that makes it better for them to be able to understand what it is that they're covered for and things of that nature. I mean, it just improves the communication immensely.
I'll give you one more to think about with AI. I've been using this one for a while. I know more advisors are now, but the meeting tools where you can have certain apps or software join your online meetings or even your phone calls and then summarize and insight your conversations and meetings. That's been awesome for me to just kind of have good takeaways, not letting things slip through the cracks and making sure that you kind of don't miss any of your to-dos after you finish up a meeting with a client. So that's a really easy one to add to how you work with clients right now. Yeah.
And relatively cheap to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't cost
less than a couple coffees a month, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Michael, despite the fact that you still look like you're 26 years old, you've been in the industry long enough to see some significant changes, things like mobile apps and online portals that allow employees to manage their benefits on the go, data feeds, online enrollment replacing paper applications, virtual services for doctor visits, physiotherapy, mental health consultations. Given all of this, do you think technology has changed the role of the group insurance advisor at all?
Well, first of all, very flattered. My camera's off and you still think I look 26.
Well, that's why I said 20, because I can't see you.
Yeah, right. But great question, Jeff. I think the way I would answer that is to say, I don't think technology has replaced the advisor at all. In fact, it's probably just...
But has it changed the role at all?
I think it's elevated our role, if that's how I could describe it. And so instead of being kind of expected to be an administrative facilitator of things, meaning we take apps, we, fill out forms and we submit to insurers and we kind of transact products for our clients, we've taken a lot of that heavy lifting off of our plates and pushed it over to software or technology. What it's done is really allowed us to elevate how we're working with clients and being consultative and analyzing data and solutions and coming up with unique programs. And for me, that's kind of been the coolest part of the last 5 to 10 years is that, sure, I spend a ton of my time figuring out what technology works best for our business, but I also get to spend more time being an advisor, I think. And, so that's sort of, I would certainly say how I see things moving forward as well.
I think, Michael, you touched on a word several times, time. Mm-hmm. Technology has freed up time for us to do these things. I remember speaking at an event back in 2017 and someone said to me, hey, you're one person operation. How many groups do you have? And I shared how many I had, and I think about how many I had then and how many I have now. And if it wasn't for technology, I could not actually have all the clients I do. One of the things we do as advisors now is, we have partnerships with, there's countless third-party providers out there. The virtual healthcares of, the digital pharmacies and the like. I wouldn't have had time, A, to take on all these clients, but B, to vet all these third-party partnerships.
You're bang on.
Had it not been for technology.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Makes me a better advisor, makes me be there more for my clients and provide them with more solutions.
Yeah, it's an amazing way of looking at it. It's not necessarily about leveraging technology to change the way that you interact with the client. It's more about streamlining efficiencies and then using the time to build more meaningful relationships with your clients, as well as probably prospect for new opportunities as well. Vet providers, all of those things.
Yep.
Okay, very, very cool. So that said, I know you've successfully implemented some technology in your business. What tools or platforms have you found to be the most effective, and how have they impacted the efficiency that we were just talking about, as well as client satisfaction?
Okay. In no particular order. So Loom is one. Loom is a platform that allows you to take recordings of yourself and the screen. So for example, if you are working with someone who's a plan admin and they can't figure out how to do something, let's say you've been going back and forth playing phone tag, email tag, whatever, you can actually share your screen, do an audio and or video recording of yourself navigating through the screen, showing them how to do something. Draftable is phenomenal. So Draftable allows you to take two PDFs side by side and do a comparison. Google Alerts. I put in all my clients' names in there, and it sends me a daily, or it can be weekly update on any news, any Google searches for my client's name. Next one, number 5 on my list, Zapier. Zapier is a fantastic thing. It will connect 2 different products. So for example, I use Salesforce as my CRM. I use MailChimp for my email list. Zapier actually integrates the two. So anytime I add a new contact in Salesforce, they automatically get added to my mailing list. I don't have to remember to do that. Next thing you can look at are platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, where you can hire people to do things for you. So you could hire them to, I hired somebody off there to create a Google form so that I will go in there, enter in the client information, their details, and it creates a 1-page summary of their coverage details and give to plan members. Another thing I've recently started using is ShareFile for a customer portal. Again, I hired somebody off of Fiverr to actually build an integration between Salesforce and ShareFile. So anytime I get a claims experience report, a taxable benefits report, a renewal document, it automatically pushes it to the customer portal and the client gets notified. And the one that I'm just starting to play around with now is one called Hotjar. Hotjar it goes on your site and it shows me not just what pages people are visiting, but what parts of each page, where they're moving their mouse, what kind of interactions, so I can get feedback on what people are finding interesting, then tailor the content of the site to what's most popular.
Wow.
Chris blows my mind. He's got
That's
so much going on. It's an amazing thing to hear about all the different things that one individual is able to keep all these balls up in the air. It's pretty awesome.
How many things are on your list, Michael?
Yeah, I made a list of 4. 3 of them are just like non-negotiable for me. So we've got our CRM, which has changed over time. We actually, as Bridgewell was formed, it was kind of amalgamation of 2 businesses coming together. So we had 2 CRMs, totally different style of CRM. Mine was a SaaS solution called Capsule at the time. My other partner's was a very old legacy CRM program called Act for Advisors. Couldn't be further apart in terms of kind of how they're built. And so anyways, the simple solution for us, was to use Salesforce. And after actually consulting with Chris, and he was generous with his time and knowledge and others as well, we've really got it to a place where it's the hub of our business at this point. It has all of our data, prospects, cases, opportunities. That was one, that's Salesforce. We use Freshdesk, which is a ticketing solution. Very similar to something Chris mentioned earlier, which was, working with some startups and technology companies. Having the same language as them was really important. I don't nearly work with as many as Chris does, but it was something that was something we could replicate and use with other clients as well. So this ticketing solution was really a way for us to resolve client issues, generally employee or plan admin level type things, not owner or decision maker questions or issues.
Okay, very, very cool. Next question. This is for whoever wants to jump in first. I'll leave it to the two of you to battle it out.
Do we need a buzzer for this? How are we gonna get in first, Jeff?
Well, Michael, you're the youthful looking one, apparently, according to Jeff. So I'll let you go first, okay?
Age before beauty.
You might not like the question. You got to hear the question.
Okay, what is it?
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about how technology is evolving in the industry. But if you could snap your fingers and instantly have all the technology you could ever dream of, whether it's tools, platforms, resources, what would that look like? And what would it solve for you personally or for your clients?
Did you hear my snap, Jeff?
Heard it?
Yeah, I got it. I think Chris might even agree. I would say API connectivity. So the concept where you have an API stands for application programming interface, but like real-time data transferring from one place to another. And the best example of that, I think, would be carriers or TPAs that are able to feed data to broker systems around claims data, employee census files. Like we have to wait too long to get these reports in some cases, or it's just antiquated in terms of how we're pulling the reports. So that would be my number one. Perfect world, APIs exist, and we're able to work in both directions. So I don't know if I got yours there, Chris, but that would be mine.
I'm not snapping my fingers because I'm in a total agreement. I actually made some notes before we came on here, and I said, yep, more automation, feeds from carriers, quoting and changes.
Yeah, we didn't even coordinate that. That would be my dream scenario where we've got all that data available and it's sort of like a single ecosystem where, there's no translation issues between one system not being able to talk to another.
And it's really just about creating more efficiency for you and your business to allow you to, be more consultative in your approach with clients.
Exactly.
I think there's many advisors in the industry that still hesitate when it comes to incorporating technology into their business, whether it's the fear of change, concerns about time investment, or simply not knowing where to start. Again, we've talked about this, a tough barrier to overcome. From your experience, what advice would you give to other advisors who might be on the fence about integrating technology into their operations? How can they get started in a way that it feels manageable? And what would you say to them, so that they can see the long-term vision in adopting these tools?
Yeah. I think the best place to start is find what is the most one pain point in your business, right? As an advisor, what is it that you're struggling with or that you think, there is an opportunity for technology to kind of ease on your end? And I don't know what that would be for each advisor. Everyone's got a different market or niche or, style of how they work. But I think that there's a solution for technology to fit into a pain point. And that would be my suggestion is, think of it from that perspective or with that lens and start small, right? It doesn't have to be like jump into Salesforce, but maybe start organizing your files on an Excel document so that you've got, a start with how you're organizing and digitally kind of coordinating information. So that would be my suggestion is start with the pain point, start small and start. Don't wait.
That's great advice. Chris, what about you?
Michael, spot on. Find that pain point, start small. And once you become comfortable, and let me backtrack. We've given 12 great options today. Take one of the ideas that Michael and I shared, but don't be shy that if you can't find what you want out there, go to a Fiverr or an Upwork and see if you can find somebody to do something small. Maybe it's build an integration. Maybe it's a form. I mentioned before creating a one-page PDF using a Google Sheet. Find somebody to do that for you if that's a pain point. It's not going to cost you a lot, and it'll save you a lot of time. But like Michael said, identify that pain point.
Yeah, I think we're also really lucky that we have some advisors and enough of them that have that abundance mindset. And if I think about places like CGIB and the Slack channel that's offered when you have a membership there, there's an amazing sharing going on in that ecosystem. And, I think there's a lot of people, including myself, and I know Chris, because he's, really kind of embodies the sharing of information and being generous is when you is really what allows you to get more back in life. And so anyways, we are lucky to be in an industry where we've got lots of players that are in that mindset. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great call out, Michael. I mean, anytime I've spoken to, a new advisor entering the group insurance market, CGIB is the it's the first thing that I recommend. Like, where else can you go where you've got 300, 400 prominent group insurance advisors from across Canada where you can ask questions and gather information? It really is an amazing tool.
Yeah.
I'll echo that and say, yeah, you're closer with the 400, Jeff. I set the Slack channel up for Dave in CGIB, so I see the numbers. Yeah, it's close to 4. And the great thing is you don't just get advisors, you get carriers, you get partners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my HSA, for example, you get lots of different people there in the community. And now we've got questions being asked about group retirement, a lot more about HSAs. So people should sign up any chance they get.
Yeah, the membership is worth the value just for the Slack channel alone. Never mind everything else that comes with it.
For sure.
Chris, as we wrap up, let's pull out the crystal ball for a moment, look into the future. We've talked about current technology trends. We've talked about dream solutions. But where do you see the intersection of technology and group insurance heading in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, with everything from AI to personalized benefits on the horizon, what's realistic in terms of what we can expect to see in the industry?
Well, advisors aren't going anywhere. I think that's a safe thing. You know, we saw all the money that Zenefits raised and how they were going to do so much with $475 million. Advisors are still here. We've had Canadian equivalents pop up, and you know, we're still here and thriving. I think technology is just going to streamline the way we work and free up more time, going back to that T word we talked about, the time. I do think we're going to see a lot more specialized partnerships coming out. You know, during COVID, we had 42 different telemedicine, virtual healthcare, whatever you want to call it, platforms in Canada. We're down to single digits now. I track it on a spreadsheet, make it available to the CGIB membership. We had a lot of those, and now we're seeing specialized ones popping up. Virtual healthcare for kids, virtual healthcare for pets. People reach out to me all the time, and there's countless other ones. And I hear about some through the Benefits Alliance as well, about other partnerships. So I think we're going to see a lot more specialized partnerships popping up. But again, advisors are going to have the time to vet these partnerships if they use automation.
Couldn't agree more with you on that. Michael?
So first of all, I agree with Chris. I mean, we're pretty aligned on a lot of this stuff, which is not surprising, but advisors are never going to replace what technology is able to do, and vice versa. And with all the technology that's coming out and all the developments that are happening, nothing replaces the relationship that an advisor is able to have with the business owner or the individuals at a leadership level that they work with at a company. And so I think, you know, that holds true. I think it's all exciting stuff. I think that's at the bottom line. Like, I'm an enthusiast when it comes to technology. I get excited about this, and I think we're in a really fun and interesting time right now. And yeah, I'm really excited to just sort of see where the future goes and how we're able to continue to improve Canadians and their health and their life and their well-being. And that's the kind of give back that we get. So even though I didn't get to perform as an artist or do all that cool stuff that I was doing back in university, all joking aside, it has not taken me 25 years to enjoy being in this industry. It's really a wonderful place to work, and I think we get so much back from it. And yeah, I'm just kind of, the future is bright from my point of view, for sure.
I think Chris and I both agree that you'll always be an artist.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Michael, Chris, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Two of my absolute favorite people in the industry. And I really hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did.
I really did, Jeff. Thank you so much. I just wish my video was working because I feel like I was not really in the party with you guys. But, you know, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff. Appreciate it. Honor to be on here. So thank you.
Absolutely. And there you have it, folks. That wraps up part 2 with Michael and Chris. Remember, when it comes to navigating the complexities of group benefits, knowledge is power. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay empowered.